when you are in these emergency situations? For starters, it helps to ask a couple questions. Like, one, is there a way that I can coach someone through this rather than rescue someone in it? And to borrow the phrase from Adam Grant, can I get someone through this emergency situation with sympathy rather than a solution? Like, that is one way to handle it. But I think the other way to handle it is to recognize that there are exceptional circumstances. People often ask, well, aren't there times when it's warranted and appropriate to be a diminisher? Well, I don't think the answer to that is yes. There aren't times when we should be a diminisher, but there are times when behavior that we've deemed as diminishing, that we experience as diminishing, is actually warranted. There are times when you should be directive. There are times when you should micromanage. There are times when you should get your red pencil out, like your inner perfectionist needs to come out and get it exactly right. And I remember this thing I learned. I was teaching a multipliers workshop at the Yale New Haven Hospital, at the Yale Medical School. It was a group of physicians, and midway through the process, they're like, Liz, this multiplier leadership stuff, this is great and all, but we don't know if you really understand what we do. Like, we deal with life and death. We like hold people's lives in our hand. And, when someone's flatlining in the OR, this is not a multiplier moment. I'm not going to be looking for someone's genius and asking questions and leading a debate. Like, we yell and we scream. And, my thought was, well, if it was my child on the operating table, I would probably want you to yell and scream too. And so I asked, what percentage of your time are you dealing with those life and death situations? And the answer came back. They kind of conferred amongst themselves. They said probably 3 to 5% of our time. And my response was, well, in that 3 to 5% of the time, like, I recommend you yell and scream. Like, do what you need to save a life. These are high stakes emergency situations, but how do you need to lead in the other 95 to 97% of your time? Okay, well, there, not only, can you be a multiplier, you should, because if you lead like a multiplier by rule, it earns you the right to be a diminisher by exception, and to actually not have a diminishing effect, because you've built the trust you need, you've built the capability and the intelligence. When you get into that 3 to 5%, you can say it's a 3 to 5% moment, and I'm going to step in. But what's the problem is sometimes we step in, but we forget to step back out and to tell people why we stepped in and why we step out. So in some ways, the best way through these emergency situations, we can't coach someone through or empathize with someone as they get through it, is step in, but step in loudly. Like, I'm coming in big here and here's why. And then just remember to go back, and it won't confuse the organizations. In some ways, I think we need to legitimize the need for some of this diminishing action during really high stakes situations.